All right, well, it's a privilege for me now to get to introduce our next speaker. And he's triple board certified and he has a tremendous amount of credentials. You get to see them and read them on that stage. I don't think there's too many people in the US that know microcirculation like Dr. Berka does. I don't think there's as many people that understand, the realm in which we're in as far as being a naturopathic doctor. I love the credentials. I don't even have to second guess when it comes to our space and PEMF and all he knows. But more importantly, he is a leader with heart. And so when I see the way that he interacts with our distributors, when I see the respect that people have from him, he reminds me of the old E.F. Hutton commercial, right? Because when Dr. Berka talks, people listen. And I'm honored to bring him up to you right now to continue to educate us in the realm that we compete in, but also to continue to move us from our Class 1 to Class 2 to help us feel comfortable. And in addition, he's working really heavily with us here in the U.S. and also continues to work with Liechtenstein, Dr. Ralph Berger and the team there as we continue to work at science and how we explore the space of supporting what we do so that we can be more competitive. So it's a pleasure to introduce to you now and bring you up here Dr. Joshua Berka.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I am excited to be here. Let me click forward to this. And I have to go through these before I start. So none of the statements being made today within this presentation or in Beamer Marketing Educational Materials or the website have been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. Beamer products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases. Furthermore, none of the statements should be construed as dispensing medical advice, making claims regarding the cure of diseases, nor can or should these products be construed to prevent or cure any disease or state or condition. You should consult a licensed healthcare provider before starting any healthcare protocol such as Beamer or medical device, especially if you're pregnant, you have a pre-existing injury, or a medical condition, a prior. Beamer products are in no way a substitute for medical care, and Beamer products are FDA Class 2 medical devices, and that's where I want to start, at that point. Because this is where we stand today, truly. And Beamer is an FDA-cleared medical device that increases blood flow within healthy leg muscles and stimulates muscles throughout the entire body to improve and facilitate muscle performance. And what an accomplishment that is, I have to say, to be the only pulse electromagnetic field device in the United States to have this stamp by the FDA, low-powered, low-frequency PEMF. Beamer is truly now in a class of its own. But more on that a little bit later. We're talking today about stories. And I was just talking to my uncle, Richard, and he's a salesman, lifelong salesman, and he said, don't forget to remind everyone, it's the facts, which you represent, Joshua, Dr. Berka, that tell, and the stories, they sell. And so we're talking about stories today and sharing your story about Beamer, sharing and co-creating our stories together. Beamer's not just a product. Beamer's a lifestyle, and it's a lifestyle that promotes health, wellness, as well as your success. And for those of you who are distributors, and many of you out there are independent Beamer distributors, sharing information about Beamer product or the Beamer product and your Beamer story, this allows other individuals to discover and share their story with others. And this is how this network works. This is how this network grows. When I discovered Beamer technology for myself and my patients, it was over a decade ago. And there was very little activity in the pulse electromagnetic field front or the arena in the US market. In fact, Beamer was one of the first to be in the US market. And so it wasn't simply known about. It wasn't that it didn't work. It just wasn't a part of the paradigm at the time. And that's slowly changing, and you're all a big, big, big part of that. But I could see a future then, and I can see a future now with Beamer. Beamer continues to lead the field of pulse electromagnetic field therapy, not just in safety, not just in efficacy, but in the further advancement of this technology through research and innovation. That's not the only reason I'm here, folks. It truly isn't. Because of the successes. Anyone could stand up when you're on top and say, yeah, I was supportive of this. But there's ups, there's downs. It's not also because of the 20 years of research and development that's been built into the scientific and structure of the credibility of the Beamer company. I'm also here because of you. I'm here because of each one of you. We're all here together. Each one of you are here with me and with each other, and that's the cool thing about this network, this business. Continuing to do research and explore the amazing effects of Beamer product and to share it with others who seek its benefits. There's so much more to do here. But before we get into that, I actually want to start with my story. I don't think I've ever even told my Beamer story to anyone. It's just, oh, Berka's been using Beamer for many, many years. My first Beamer experience did start many years ago. I would describe my first Beamer story as the act or an act of remembrance, remembering. A feeling of calmness, a feeling of centeredness, the feeling of when I'm balanced, expressing myself in my optimal manner, when I'm free of worry, expectations, absent of stressors that are tugging on me, the same ones that tug on you. And that impedes my flow, it impedes our flow. So remembering the center, the balance, the joy, the happiness, and that contentment. This was the feeling that I felt when I first used Beamer. It was literally like a half hour of meditation in 8 minutes. And you can imagine my excitement when I discovered this. I felt relaxed but energetic at the same time. And this doesn't always happen now when I'm using Beamer. It's, I don't always go back and say, oh, I get that same feeling. But I follow the process. I use Beamer daily. And there's a good reason why myself and others use the Beamer and feel so good when using the product. So it was that point on, over a decade ago, that I began my journey with you, with Beamer. And I continue this journey with you today. Wherever you are in the world right now, please know nature is surrounding you. It's all around us. It's within us. Whether you're in a high rise, when you're in a city, whether you're in the country, whether you're in... It doesn't matter where you are. Take a look at these images, these pictures on the screen. Trees, seas, river, valley, the forest, the green, the grass, the flowers. Nature is here. It's there. It's here. So what's really changed from the early days with all this distractions that are going on and all this technology? What's so different now versus ancient times with all the technological advancements? So we live in the exact same physical law system. The physical laws today existed the same. Thermodynamics, gravity, physics, biology, they're all relevant today just like they were thousands of years ago. The only barriers to understanding the way ancient people existed is very simple, is understanding and comprehending the context which they lived in, the universe that surrounded them. How do you observe nature? How do we observe nature? And in what context? How do we interact with our environment? And in what context? How does your environment, how does nature interact with you? Nature's constantly representing itself through symbols. Symbols serve as reference points. Symbols do not need any words. They're symbolic. They're what they are. And so symbols are the most fundamental and basic expression of the representation of life around us. Many of you know this symbol right up on the screen here. It's been passed down over thousands of years from ancestors. But it's very few of you that know where this symbol came from. And I want to talk about that briefly because I want to start at a point. And you can say most things start at a point. If you draw a line, you draw from one point to another. And this is the same thing in physics and all relationships. All things start at a point. But I don't want you to think about this perspective here of looking at a point. I want you to think of looking down on this, literally as a pole was placed in the earth at 90 degrees. So a straight pole, and early humans did this. In the context of this story, this point in the middle of screen is a bird's eye view. Think of a drone's eye view, and you're looking down, 90 degrees, planted in the ground. And what they did is they measured the shadow of that pole that the sun cast on the earth and soil until one complete circle was made. And it took 365 days. This is the symbol which is on your screen, which was observed. And Albert brought this up earlier, the yin and the yang. Polarities. In fact, when you look at the origin of this ancient yin-yang symbol, or from the Chinese perspective, the Taiji-Tu symbol, this was discovered and used as one of the earliest measurements of time as a representation of the sun moving through space and time. 365 days of the year. The dark, you can see on the right side, is yin. On the left side is yang. The summer solstice and the winter solstice were marked accordingly, and this was one solar year. 24 segments, which represented the waxing and waning of the moon through 12 months, lunar months. And this symbol is the expression of the natural rhythms of life that still exist around all of us today. This symbol represents the intricate relationship between polarities, the balance between light, dark, positive, negative, and the myriad of other examples that exist. And it's also a reminder, an important reminder that before there was two, and by the way, two of anything are needed to be polar, it comes from one. That singularity, that source. And in this center, in this balance, there's not a separation, there's no distance, because it's just one. It's energy that connects us all. Speaking the language of all molecules, all cells, they know this by nature and their existence. What language is that? Well, the language of the universe. And that is electromagnetism. Electromagnetic energy acts as the conductor of all material form, especially for us as humans. Nikola Tesla truly said this best when he said, if you want to find out the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So what's all this have to do with Beamer? Take a look at this from a different perspective, a different contextual angle. Beamer technology is based on natural rhythms. These natural rhythms and waves. But we can't just look at this linearly. We don't look at the Earth. Well, I can't talk about this because now it's a thing. The Earth's not flat, from my perspective. But, you know, when we look at these things, we also don't look at life in two dimensions only. We're multidimensional beings. And this orange line that you see moving through this image or symbol represents a sinus wave. It also has an equal amplitude, a rise and a fall, balance, and is the basis of energy, rather is the basis of all energy in the universe. This sinus rhythm, this sinus wave can be observed throughout the entire natural world. In fact, even when you go to the cardiologist, the function of our heart is measured in ensuring that you have a normal sinus rhythm for your heart. So all of life is energy, all of life is frequency, and all of life is vibration. And these expressions and rhythms of life can be observed through this very symbol as it relates to the interrelationship of the sun, moon, and the earth. And the sinus wave also is the fundamental basis of electromagnetic waves. Sometimes nature is very direct in its communication. We just miss it. Okay. So electromagnetic waves consist of magnetic components, electrical components, and properties. They're directional. They have various wavelengths, power density or power intensities. Many of you may recognize this as a measurement of flux density, as we call it microteslas. Beamer is 3.5 to 150 microtesla, a very low range. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to say this. All of life, you, me, the sky, and the sea, are made of charged particles. We're made of molecules. We're made of stuff. Molecules build cells. Cells build tissue. Tissues build organs, and organs build systems. And that integrated together to form and to propagate this, what we call life. The electromagnetic spectrum. So where's Beamer fit onto this? I get these questions quite often. I want you to know today, if there's any question in any of your prospects' minds, Beamer is safe. The pulse electromagnetic field that Beamer emits is very low in power and is well within both the national and the international standards and international guidelines of safety. Beamer is located all the way to the left side of this diagram, pulsing at ranges of 10 and 30 hertz around that range, and has low output powers known as the intensity or flux density. It's the reason, this is the reason that Beamer is so safe, and it's able to be effectively deployed, not by physicians, clinicians in the clinic only, but for you in your healthcare environment, your home. And that's important to be able to deliver that information. This waveform here and the signal are among the most important parameters of delivering the most effective therapy, and it targets the muscles and circulation. The Beamer waveform, folks, is the active ingredient that gives us the positive results that we know. that we expect, that we share with others. And I can tell you this, the proof's in the pudding. The message is clear and the answers are even clearer. No other pulsed electromagnetic field device has the scientific and medical efficacy of Beamer as it relates to blood flow and circulation, period. Know that, engage that, and honor that, because that is something that's very special, and it's yours, it's ours. We always say, how does Beamer work? We know bioelectromagnetic energy regulation, low frequency, low intensity. It's pulsed into the body via low frequencies, via targeted and local applicators. And this patented biorhythmically defined signal stimulates the body to increase local blood flow by stimulating muscles and optimizing performance. It's really quite a simple thing. Beamer is classified as a Class 2 medical device and stimulates muscles and increased blood flow. That's the category and intended use. And we also observe and experience Beamer, not just locally, but the facts are it moves beyond the coils. Our experience is in full. It's not just in one area of the body. And why does this happen? And how do we see it? We see it through reduction of stress, improved sleep, improved moods, feeling stronger, more endurance, more alert, and so many more benefits. Beamer is absolutely an integral part for anyone seeking to live a healthy lifestyle, wherever you are on that spectrum, wherever you are on that journey. The human being is amazing, and we know this. You know this. I'm going to go over some of these facts. 80 to 100 trillion cells within your body need to be fed by oxygen and raw materials. Waste products need to be removed also. You have 2,000 gallons of blood circulating your body. And by the way, you only have about a gallon or a gallon and a half of blood that is in your body in the first place. But the person is moving all that blood. So it's not surprising that the body needs a lot of raw materials. It needs oxygen, nutrients, and the clearance of metabolic waste to be effectively removed. Folks, that takes a lot of energy. Full circle, back to systems and back to bioelectromagnetic energy regulation. How does it work? How does this occur? Of course, the only possible way this could occur is through proper and functional circulation of blood. Your blood permeates every single cell and tissue in the body. How does it flow? Where does it go? How does it circulate? We don't think about this every day. We're told that it's this muscle sitting in the middle of your chest. For those of you who don't know, and don't be disappointed, the heart couldn't possibly pump all the blood through the body. I just said there was 2,000 to 3,000 gallons moving through your body throughout the day. You only have a gallon and a half of it. This thing would wear out. It doesn't do it alone. There's helpers. And I wouldn't say helping hands, but we'll say helping muscles. And we're going to get into that a little more here soon. Those helping muscles are in the microcirculation. And it's vital to transport blood throughout the body. The majority of vessels are actually extremely small. You can see here 3/4 of the microvessels are, some of them tiny as a human hair. They have to deliver this material at the infinitesimal small levels. These microvessels make up the circulation system and is part of the circulation system as a whole. Here's an example. We're looking at the vessels of the heart. You can see on the left here, which are angiography, this is less than 500, or rather greater than 500 microns. So these are the larger vessels. And this, when you go in to look to see if you're having a heart attack or you have blockages, that's what the docs look at. But on the right side, you can look at a plasticized heart and check out those vessels less than 500 microns. You can still see the outlines of the other ones. That's what feeds you. That's what feeds your heart. That's what keeps you going. That's what keeps you flowing. So we're full of muscles, some more than others for sure. But keep in mind there's a difference between skeletal muscle and smooth muscle. And their actions are different. The smooth muscle is regulated by the autonomic nervous system. Parasympathetic is rest and digest. Sympathetic is fight or flight. And it's this balance of autonomic regulation. The smooth muscles of the precapillary arterioles, you can see here in this image at the top of your screen, are responsible for opening and closing the vessels. When the vessels are open, you can see here more relaxed, more blood is flowing. When the muscles are contracted, less blood flow is occurring. So this works in concert with the heart, with the lungs, to regulate functional blood flow within your body throughout your entire body. And this mechanism is extremely tightly regulated and controlled in healthy people and animals, but it's when it's not working, this is a recipe for poor blood flow, which can lead to many symptoms, and ultimately, folks, it can lead to disease. In many cases of disease, for example, diabetes, the ability to sufficiently self-regulate peripheral blood flow is drastically impaired depending on the severity of the disease condition as well as the progression of how long it's been happening. Even too much stress, inflammation, this can impair the autonomic nervous system, and it can have a direct effect on your blood flow. So blood that's carrying oxygen, we can look here. Coming in from the left side, the arteries, the arterioles carry oxygen-rich blood and nutrients into the capillary networks. The exchange occurs. And then from those capillary networks, waste products go through the venules and vein. Carbon dioxide, metabolic waste, lactic acid, all removed. So these networks are where the business happens. And this is where, these play the most vital role in your circulation. This is the functional part of your circulation. Remember this, please, today. We are only as healthy as what you or we can eliminate. It's not just what we take in. Our vessels are in motion. These are not tubes. These are not straws. They're motile. They're soft. They're pliable. And when they're not in this stature, they're not in this functionality, we have very big problems. A healthy individual, and it's called vasomotion, what we're talking about here. This idea of these autorhythmical pulsations that are occurring, and they're happening all the time. For a healthy individual, about 3 to 5 a minute, and for an unhealthy individual, maybe 3 to 5 oscillatory movements regulated by the autonomic nervous system every 5 or 10 minutes. That is not good blood flow. And if this mechanism's not working correctly, it puts a lot of pressure on that heart, that primary pump. Or rather, the heart needs to exert more force to push the blood out of the tissues. And those are tissues that are literally screaming for oxygen and nutrients. So it's imperative to keep these micropulsations, these in rhythm for our long-term survival. It's dependent on it. Absolutely. And if your doctor doesn't know about it, this is a very, very new field. And so they're mainly looking at diseases manifesting. That's a disease care model versus a healthcare model. And we need to move and shift this paradigm into prevention and more understanding of how to keep healthy and stay healthy rather than to, quote unquote, just treat disease. So how do we keep these things working? It's you. It's your choices. It's your lifestyle. What you hear, smell, taste, feel, experience determines how your body acts under stressful situations or not. How someone responds or reacts to stress, that's their story. They've learned those behaviors. It's up to them to identify these situations and come back into that balance. If your blood's not flowing optimally, you are not flowing in life. So this is an idea of just straight up functional blood flow as it's pumped through the microcirculation or the microcircular vessels. We call this flow motion. You can see it moving and stopping and moving and stopping. It has to operate this way because it has to drop off the oxygen, pick up the waste products, and it can't just do this with laminar flow flying by. So the pulse, this rhythm, this cadence is intricately timed to optimize the delivery of oxygen, nutrients, and the removal of carbon dioxide and metabolic waste from the vessels, or rather the cells that these vessels serve. How does it work? Folks, BEMER stimulates muscles. The pulse electromagnetic field from BEMER moves through the area being treated, stimulates the tissues and the cells that the pulse electromagnetic field interacts with. The effect extends through the tissue into the vessels, as you can see on the screen here, supporting healthy local circulation where the field is applied. In addition, BEMER inductively stimulates your muscles in order to increase blood flow and optimize muscle performance as well as supporting recovery. I want to look here at this live image of blood flow. This is intravital microscopy. And with this was before stimulation, just looking at, and again, on the left side of the screen, you're looking at an arteriole. On the right side, a venule. The arteriole brings oxygen-rich blood and nutrient-rich blood into the tissue. That little side vessel coming out is a capillary. And you can see the blood chug-lugging away. What we're looking at here is an individual with chronic stress. It is a male. And this microscopic area was filmed. You'll also notice, and on the venular side, you'll see very few white blood cells on the edges. You'll look rolling around. So that means the immune system is also not well activated. You're going to see here, there's also diminished vasomotion. There's no movement you would see on the left side of that arteriole. I haven't seen any. There's restricted blood flow. Like I said, the white blood cells aren't circulating, and this equals poor perfusion. Too much of this going on, you're going to feel tired. You're going to feel sluggishness. So I want to take a look at what happens after the beamer was turned on after 3 minutes of treatment, or for the non-practitioners and clinicians out there, 3 minutes after application. As this comes to your screen, you'll start to already see the increase in flow, the increase in movement. You can see the capillary open up. There's increased arterial flow. And what you can also see is increased venular flow returning back to the lungs to recycle, to bring out, and to remove those metabolic wastes that the body has created. You'll also see, after 6 minutes of stimulation here, the increase in the white blood cells. Pay special attention on the right side of the white blood cells rolling through the endothelial or over the endothelial walls. That's like cops being out on the street protecting you. That's your mobile immune system. And when your blood's moving, your immune system working. And if your blood is not functionally moving, you can't possibly have a functional immune system. Therefore, you're not protected. Think about it this way. If you're perfused, you're protected. Support yourself, support your immune system through healthy blood flow. And we're going to see also when the beamer was shut off after 8 minutes, they followed and did a 30-minute video and looked at the lingering or the ongoing effects of beamer after 30 minutes. So now this person's been off the beamer for 22 minutes. And look at what we're looking at. This effect can last up through 18 hours and maybe more, and for some less rather. But the fact is, beamer is incredible at supporting your blood flow. So induction versus local regulatory blood flow, this is the combination. And how does it happen? Folks, we're exposed to these things all the time. Stress, worry, overtraining, lack of exercise, poor diet. This causes damage to our tissues, to your aging processes. And I'm not saying beamer can stop aging, but beamer as a part of your active lifestyle can certainly support you in a healthy aging process. This is not a healthy aging process as you look on this screen here, the screen. And so this is associated with poor blood flow. Sitting, not moving. We used to walk everywhere. We used to garden. We used to fish. We used to explore. Now what? What have we turned into? People finding refuge in stagnant behaviors. Check this out. And again, it looks a little bit Halloween-y, but not Halloween yet. Don't be scared, or rather, you should be a little nervous. I want to go through these numbers. Sitting increases a person's risk of up to 40%, meaning sitting 6 hours a day, 40% more likely to die in 15 years than someone who sits less than 3 hours, even if you exercise. And these figures to me are absolutely shocking. According to this study, most people were sedentary for more than 9 hours a day. For 6.5 hours a day, some people stood or walked around a little bit. And for those doing sports, and you say, oh, I'm safe, I do sports. You only do it for an hour a day maximum on average. And so when you look at it from this perspective, they say the only way to reduce these type of figures is to reduce your sitting time, and I agree 100%. But in the meantime, I request this. If you're not moving and you're kind of in a sitting lifestyle, what I would ask is that you use beamer to reduce some of these potential factors. Do internal exercise with beamer. And I'm not saying to replace beamer with exercise. I'm actually saying to do both. Beamer's not a replacement, rather a part of your healthy lifestyle. When we have poor circulation, we sit too long, pretty easy to see what happens. The compression of the vessels occur. You get low blood flow. Low blood flow is hyperperfusion. Hypoxia is low oxygen. Hyperacidification, which is acidic buildup. Lactic acid, for example. And this irritates the nerves. And when the nerves are irritated, this creates destabilization of the muscles, muscle weakness, as well as muscular tension, and full circle back to compression. This is a vicious cycle really with no winners. And, well, maybe there are some winners. Maybe those pharmaceutical companies that are making the drugs that either block your perception of the pain or block the transmission of the pain. But I'll tell you, it's not treating the underlying condition. That's also up to you. We need drug-free solutions and complementary therapies like beamer to support individuals in their daily life supporting recovery. Why are muscles so important? It's not just that they look good or you look good when you're toned up. Muscles are metabolically active tissue. Muscles support your structure. They support your function. And from 30 on, you start to degenerate your lean muscle mass. Aging's been associated with a loss of muscle mass. In medicine, we call this sarcopenia. And the aging process, if this isn't kept in check through muscle conditioning, through exercise, continues to cost you your muscles. So as we get older, it directly results in muscular tension, or rather muscular function disorder, which can lead to issues that go beyond the musculoskeletal system. I'll say this, and it's not just my perspective, it's most physicians out there. One of the #1 biomarkers of aging is how much muscle mass, lean muscle mass, you have on board. So, I'm not the only one who thinks microcirculation is so important. In fact, NASA also agrees, the space agency, both on Earth and in space. Beamer has been working with NASA under a Space Act agreement since February of 2015, and we most recently took this and extended it through next year, 2021, to support the studies that we've been collaborating with. You can read here, I don't have to read it, but this joint venture paves the way for an integration of Beamer technology into human spaceflight, as well as reentry, as well as exit and reentry regeneration processes. And I've gotten a lot of questions over the past couple of years on biohacking. What's biohacking? Do-it-yourself biology. How do you control your biology? Through breath, through body position, through different types of therapeutics. You don't have to inject something into you or put a microchip under your skin like Elon Musk Neuralink. Rather, there's things that you can do with breathing, with posture, mindfulness, your eating habits, living habits, your lifestyle, that can make your life more in control. Beamer falls square into this field of biohacking. Why is that? Beamer's not just changing your physiology when you're using the device, it's taking that step to integrate that vascular and nervous system, to support your autonomic nervous system in maintaining and sustaining balance. And this is key to performance and expedited recovery. Beamer's kind of like a 1-2 punch as it relates to you performing your best and you performing at your maximum potential. So I want to look at some new stuff that we've been doing at Beamer, and it's very exciting because we're not just looking at small areas of microcirculation anymore. I'm talking about the extremities. And the extremities of the body are usually just the tip of the iceberg as it relates to expressing diminished blood flow. Take a look at these images. You can see a normal foot on the left and a diabetic foot on the right. They're not the same. The left side is more functional. The right side is not going to be working the same. In fact, over time on the right, you can see issues that can lead all the way up to amputation. And I hope for none of you that occurs. But Beamer's exploring a novel diagnostic optical imaging system that can objectively measure the broad measurements, macro and microcirculation, within its field of view. And I want to share some of these results with you. This is not for using for marketing or sales at this time. It's for me giving you a sneak peek at some of the work that we're working diligently on at the office. And this might be nerve-wracking to look at all these. You're looking at a right foot, a 50-year-old male subject. That 50-year-old male subject was lying down, resting for 5 minutes. And even though we imaged the right foot, we actually only used the B-pad, one coil under the knee, one coil under the calf, and another coil under the ankle. I'm going to repeat this. No direct PEMF was put under the foot, yet we measured that foot. We measured at 0, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes, and then at 10, which is 2 minutes after, to look at the residual effects of Beamer. Let's see what we got here. Because when we look at these results, and we're looking at only a few different parameters, the other ones generally stay the same in fairly healthy individuals. We have a 72% increase of tissue oxygenation looking at that foot area, the entire circulation. The blue area is low, and then the yellow area is the highest. So we had a pretty big increase here. 120% increase in oxyhemoglobin, that's oxygenated hemoglobin, and a 240 increase in subsurface hemoglobin. That means hemoglobin or blood flow deep the skin. Folks, with this device, I can look into the body without ever touching it. It's actually incredible, and there's more to come. Let me trust you on that, or rather, trust me on that. So we know the benefits of Beamer. Beamer increases local blood flow, bringing nutrients and oxygen to the target tissues, removes metabolic waste. This gives the Beamer user feelings of 1, enhanced energy, strength, vitality, and as we continue to support our muscles, we support cellular health as well, enhancing physical fitness, enhancing endurance, performance, and recovery. And a unique effect that so many of you Beamer users report is that feeling of less stress, feeling more relaxed and calm. Beamer can be used as an integral part of individuals or anyone seeking to live their optimal potential, making healthy lifestyle choices throughout this healthcare continuum you see on the screen. For me, as you look up here, prevention is the best medicine. And it really is the most important aspect of healthcare. It's a good investment, number one, and it costs way less to prevent disease before it manifests than it does to treat a person that's already afflicted or affected by a disease or an ailment. And when disease doesn't manifest or express itself, Beamer holds a place in adjunctive applications in hospitals and clinics, recovery, and more importantly, Beamer in your home. Beamer's in healthcare, Beamer in wealth care, and Beamer in wellness management. I want to thank you all for your presence today. I usually, well, I should say the force be with you, but what I really want to say is may the flow be with you. And may you always be in that flow, your flow. Thank you very much.